I became a millionaire by the age of 23. Not from crypto, not from AI. I did it by solving sewage backups and fire damage from a garage with my dad. And the crazy part, there's only one skill that you need, and it's not what you think. I thought hustle and chasing fires was the way to go. Total failure. But I did notice something. Every truck that showed up had the words emergency services on it and water mitigation. So I pivoted, and 1 week, we brought in $60,000 worth of revenue. That the entrepreneurs who win and hit it big, they take action faster than anyone else. They don't overthink. They build momentum, and momentum compounds. So the number one skill you need to get to $1 million is velocity. Speed is the key, time is the enemy, and momentum is the only currency that counts. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how this evolves. This is the real path to building $1 million business. No fluff, no hype, just what actually works. Let's dive in. All right, so the first thing to know to build velocity is to understand the concept that action will always beat perfection. Look, most people don't fail because they're dumb. They fail because they wait, they overthink, they try to have 100% of the information before they make the decision of what they're about to do. They wait for the perfect timing, the perfect plan. They try to think about all the possible reasons something's gonna fail and try to mitigate all of those. But in reality, here's the deal. Perfection never exists. Momentum is the only cheat code. Just the other day, I had signed a big round for one of my company's Albiware. And the board wanted me to implement this capital efficiency plan. I was in paternity leave. My second child was just born. Within 24 hours, the leadership team had successfully implemented a capital efficiency plan. Was it perfect? No. Did it create momentum? And are we now moving in the right direction? Abso-fucking-lutely. That's the point. And there's 3 steps to build momentum. Step number 1, do a brain dump of all the potential actions you could be taking right now. Step number 2, use the RICE framework to prioritize all those different action plans. Basically, the RICE framework is you're grading everything on a scale of 1 to 10 in these 4 categories. R for reach. How many potential people or customers does this thing reach? I for impact. How much impact does it create on a scale of 1 to 10? C, confidence. How confident am I that this thing is specifically gonna work? And E, effort. How much effort am I actually gonna put into this? So for example, make my logo better or go get leads online. And then that brings me to step number 3. In that case, I would pick one thing, which would be the online marketing campaign, and I would go all in and do it. I'd focus on doing it first, and then I would iterate and optimize later. It's all a loop, and that loop builds empires. But you can't get to $1 million a year on pure momentum. You actually need to learn how to sell, which brings me to point number 2, learn sales. At 15, I was selling business cards to car dealerships door to door, and I was scared. I absolutely sucked, but it taught me something. It's not persuasion, it's diagnosis. Fast forward to today, I've sold over $20 million of equity in my company Albiware during the fundraising process. Same skill, same framework, just bigger tables. Here's the 4-step framework that I use during the sales process that you can apply to be a master at sales. Step number 1 is build a list of potential people to sell to. And I use tools like Octoparse or Clay. You could even just go old fashioned on Google or LinkedIn or Facebook and just make a list of potential people to sell to. I recommend having a list of between 300 to 500 to start out. I recommend that that list is super specific on customers that are more likely to potentially buy for you. The second thing that you need to do is build rapport with those specific prospects. And rapport is actually very easy. It's essentially getting that prospect to have some sort of common ground with you, to like you, and to trust you. Because again, as Dale Carnegie says, people buy from people they like. Rapport is a very teachable skill. And the way I teach rapport is to give somebody the example of if they're sitting on a plane next to somebody else and talking to them. And there's a quadrant of 4 different items that you could talk to anybody on and on and on and on for many hours. The first part to the quadrant is talking to somebody about work. The common phrase that every American loves to ask is, so what do you do for work? Or what do you do? And then you establish common ground around work. The second area of the quadrant is hobbies. People love talking about their hobbies. Maybe they love sports and they're into the NBA. Maybe they love golfing. The third area is family and kids specifically. And then the fourth area is actually travel. And those 4 areas, you're actually very easily able to establish common ground. And establishing those common grounds will help you get to step number 3, which is discovery. Discovery is simple. You actually have to discover a pain point that prospect is going through. And the way you discover a pain point is you just ask questions during that conversation. So in software, for example, we don't just hop on a demo and show the person the entire Albuware software. We go in there and ask them for what pain points they have while they're trying to grow and scale their restoration business. And we're asking them questions about how many employees they have, what they're currently using, what are the common frustrations, and we try to identify those pain points. Then we ask further questions to stretch the gap to make that pain super evident, and then we go into step number 4, which is pitching the solution to that specific prospect. And most people think sales is all about pitching, which is step number 4. But if you don't have proper rapport with the prospect, if you didn't do proper discovery, and you didn't have a list, you're just gonna run around on a roller coaster regurgitating all over everybody. And that's no bueno. It's all about following that process. It's simple. But it isn't just sales that helps you to get to that $1 million scale. You actually have to deliver on the promises you make to the prospect, which leads me into the next step, which is master delivery. When I sold my first water damage mitigation job, I had no idea what I was doing in delivering that specific product. And when I first started our software company, Albuware, I did not know how to code. But I did know one thing. People who are world-class at delivering are typically not really good at selling. And they're very easy to find because they're passionate at delivering that and they just need more work to actually deliver. So the 3 things that I did was, 1, I found people that were world-class at delivering that specific product. In cleaning up basements, I found restoration companies that were smaller that could actually subcontract for me. I showed them that, hey, look, I have this pipeline and I have this need. I need you to come help me do this specific work. And then I worked together with them to learn how they were doing the specific things and eventually absorb that knowledge. Here's the thing. People who are world-class at delivering usually suck at selling. So if you can master step number 2 and be really good at selling, you'll be able to attract the most valuable people to deliver and partner up with them for a win-win situation. But action, sales, and delivery are not the only 3 things that you need to grow your $1 million business. In fact, those are a perfect recipe to outgrow yourself if you don't master this next part. Which brings me to point number 4, which is install your level up loop. Look, I'm a college dropout, but I've never stopped learning. I've gone from being a blue-collar restoration guy to a white-collar software nerd to leading 8 to 9-figure masterminds. Not because I had the map or that I was the smartest person in the room, but because I built one. And every single day, I focus on one thing, and that's leveling up to be a better version of myself than I was the day before. And here's 4 ways that I installed a level up loop within my life. Number 1, I find the room. There are a ton of rooms out there and a ton of networking events and masterminds where you can find a room of people who are 1 to 2 steps ahead of you. And if you're the smallest guy in that room, great. You're gonna learn a whole ton. The second thing that I do is I read books. Somebody's had a problem and they struggled with that problem for an entire lifetime and they decided to write a book about it. They took all the solutions, the playbooks, and the frameworks to solve that one problem that you're dealing with right now and put it into something that you could read on a flight from New York to LA. And then you could take that information and apply it to your life. One of my greatest superpowers is actually reading books, taking the concepts from there and applying them. It's a great way that I've been leveling up as a person. The third thing that I do is when I find somebody extraordinary at a thing that I struggle with, I ask them how much is an hour of their time worth, and then I go find that person and pay them for their time. And in fact, I do that with all team members right now. Every single one of my team members has some sort of mentor that is world-class and is a different version of what I want my team member to actually become. And I pay them for their time so that way they can pour their knowledge into my team members. And the 4th step to leveling yourself up is to follow the learn, do, teach framework. You learn something from steps 1, 2, and 3. Then you go apply and you actually do it and you learn even more by doing it. And then afterwards you send the elevator back down and you teach. Teaching is a great way to actually cement the ideas that you've actually learned. And that's why I'm super passionate about doing things like content, hosting my masterminds, and always being willing to teach somebody something that I've learned because it helps them become a better person and builds that relationship capital, but it also makes me a better person. The moment you stop learning is the moment that your business flatlines. So action, sales, delivery, and your level up loop will all get you to your first million, but you'll grow yourself into the zone of pain if you don't buy back your time. Which leads me to number 5, stack the right people. When I hit my first million, I thought it was gonna be a celebration, but it was miserable. I was drowning with work and I was the bottleneck to my entire business. Everything had to go through me and it was absolutely annoying, and I was not able to enjoy the fruits of actually getting to $1 million of revenue. And the reason behind this is, well, the book Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, one of my mentors, wasn't out at the time. In his book, he talks about the buyback principle. If it doesn't grow the business, or if it doesn't light you up, you should delegate it. So the way you can actually measure how much you're worth is to take your total amount of income and divide it by 2,000, because that's how many hours a typical person works in a year. So if you make $100,000 in a year, you divide that by 2,000, you're making $50 an hour. Then you take that $50 an hour and you divide it by 4. So if you're making $50 an hour, any task that you can delegate to somebody for $12.5 or less per hour, you absolutely should be delegating. So think of those emails, think of those phone calls and everything like that. And heck, even if you make $50,000 a year, which is basically $20 an hour, 22.5, which is basically $22.5 an hour, you can find a VA in the Philippines for $5 an hour to take those tasks off your plate. Things like reading emails, cleaning up spreadsheets, tracking different things, right? If it doesn't light you up, and it doesn't help build the business, you should absolutely delegate those things. You'll buy back your time, you'll regain focus, you'll grow faster, and most importantly, you won't grow the $1 million business that you'll hate. You'll actually enjoy and cherish the fact that you got to that $1 million milestone. So landing the plane here full circle, if you want to build a $1 million business within the next year, velocity is the skill that you need. And pause this video and write this down. Speed is the key, time is the enemy, and momentum is the only currency that counts. From defaulting to action, quickly selling, delivering world-class experiences, installing a level up loop, and stacking the people, you'll have to do everything very fast. Look, this isn't about becoming an overnight millionaire. This is about solving real problems, building real wealth with real speed. If that's what you want, you've come to the right place. Subscribe to this channel, comment below, and I will make it my personal mission to help you move faster. Let's go build something real.